Hello, hello, and welcome to Temple of the False Pod, where decks are not optimized but are played sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
Yeah. And welcome to Season 16! Boop, 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 boop.
Man. Oh, man.
Sweet 16.
Yep.
Sweet. If the show was season by year, it could drive. Cool, man. It's been a couple weeks. We had our little vignettes, and we're back to talk about the real stuff. Today, I wanted to bring something I find important to the table, which is tokens and how they're represented on the battlefield. Because I find that far too often, not enough information is being displayed for your opponents, for yourself, to remember what the heck is going on.
Right.
And so I find tokens are important for mental load, your own mental load, and your opponent's, readability, and proper board assessment for all players. And I feel like even if you do agree with this, you or, the viewer, I feel like we could all do a little better representing it efficiently and I guess just do it better.
Yeah, we have a lot of little subtopics to talk about for this. And I can already see a handful of ways in which I'm a little bit guilty on this one. So I'm confident that everybody could be managing this just a little bit better. So,
but I guess to start, we've got so many options for tokens that it's really kind of hard to outright reject using something in place of your token, whether it's a creature or an artifact, whatever. I personally love official or even fan made, already made before the game starts tokens that you can just slide right into your tech box or in a separate box that's in your bag, right?
Yeah.
But I also understand the love of dry erase. But I think what makes the pre-made tokens useful for me is that it takes less time to get it onto the battlefield and your mindset of this is what my board looks like.
If you're running a deck that produces a specific kind of token and it's kind of the key portion, you don't really need to do the dry erase.
Right.
This becomes something that's relevant. Just off the top of my head, Atla Palani is a deck that uses an egg token all the time. It taps, creates an egg token. Why would I use erasable cards for this when I know it's going to be something I need every single time? If the deck doesn't make an egg token, then I didn't play the deck. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
So having some off to the side, I've got a couple that are from Wizards, and then a couple from a good friend who did up a couple of different pieces of art for it, and I just use those with that deck all the time, and it just saves so much trouble in dealing with just creating the egg over and over again on a dry erase, which I appreciate. Doesn't sound like anything. Egg is only 3 letters, but everything's already there. It just, here we go. That is the egg token. It is obvious to everybody what it is.
Yeah. So, and I think that there are certain tokens as well that are fairly ubiquitous across decks, right? So even if you have just a small deck box tucked away in your bag, it's got treasures in it, it's got food in it, it's got humans, it's got, whatever, 0-1 plants for all I care. If you're paying attention to what your decks generally want, having a couple of those is super helpful. Now, where I find dry erase more helpful is you're not flipping through 30 to 40 tokens trying to find the one specific one to get it out, right? And they're flexible physically, but I mean because they're blank, you can have them be tokens that are hard to find, right? So the goblin shamans from Fable of the Mirror Breaker, There are some that are just literally don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But also cloning things. So like if you clone a thing or like
Right.
you copy it, you can just write on it and be like, hey, it's this specific creature, but clearly differentiated from an exact copy.
Right.
Uh,
It's also handy to have because your opponents are going to be giving you tokens.
yes.
Whether you're getting a 3/3 beast in replacement of your your commander that's ready to kill them,
But
or a shapeshifter, or whatever it is that they're giving you. Um,
yeah,
you
things you're
can't be
not ready for. Yeah.
right, the things you're not ready for. So it never hurts to have. I like this is not me dumping on dry erase markers.
Oh
I
no,
think
for
that
sure.
they're spectacular. This is one of the best inventions for Magic
um,
that has come along in a long time. So
One of the things that I use them for, especially, is actually for counters. This will be something we talk a little bit more
yeah,
later with respect to counters, but um, one of the reasons I stopped playing Cathar's Crusade was because you put 6 creatures down and now you're dealing with 6 different dice to try to increment them one by one, and unless you're using spin downs for all of them, then like it just gets unruly and you're taking up so much time just incrementing them by one. So if you just like even, if this is a card, if this
mm-hmm.
is a card and you can like slide the dry erase behind it, you can mark
yeah,
up here of like, oh, we've got, +1 counters here, and then you just kind of tick them off, just little hash marks, and then you get to 5, you cross it off, and like it's easy to just go through all your creatures and add one. Incrementing that way is much easier, less annoying, and it's just another thing that the dry erase tokens are especially good for.
right,
Um, and I guess with the same kind of in the same breath, just counters in general. Uh, Ever since Ikoria, we have keyword counters. And I know that Infinite Tokens has little like discs for this, but
yeah,
they make new dice on Etsy and
yeah,
stuff, and there are ways to represent this, but even just having it on a dry erase card slid underneath a creature or
yeah,
whatever, or even uh, the fact that there are at least a dozen different specific human tokens that are
right,
made throughout all of Magic. There are
yeah,
1/1s, there are 2/1s, there are ones with vigilance. There are all of these different types. Make dry erase just that much more efficient,
yeah,
especially with regards to space. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest downfalls for me for uh, dry erase is it takes time to write. Uh,
yeah,
and so like if you create 13 zombies, are
right,
you going to be writing zombie on 13 cards, um, and taking up not only your time but everyone's time. Um, and I think beyond that as well, sometimes there's really important text on these tokens for whatever reason, and markers can only be so small. So
when
it's just space is limited.
right, when you've got a 1/1 goblin that must attack every turn
Mm,
token. Um, this is all information that not only you need to know, but your opponents need to know. Because if
yes.
it can't block, then if you have a way to keep it untapped, they don't know that it can't block if you don't write it down, or they'll forget, or you'll forget, and
Mm,
then block with it. So all of this sort of thing, that information does need to be written down. Andy, to your point about trying to keep things moving,
oh.
13 dry erase
Mm,
cards, Z 2/2. I'm done with that until the next person's turn.
right.
Because right now I'm finishing my turn. And when I'm done and people aren't waiting on me, then I can go through on those 13 tokens and write whatever the hell I want. It's
Yeah.
probably not going to be much. It's probably just going to be a stack of them. 2/2 zombie. Yeah, I don't want to do something where I'm sitting here drawing on an erasable marker during my turn. The idea that 4 people are waiting for me, you know, to finish drawing a zombie, this is ridiculous. That is, it is ridiculous. A huge waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
Save that for later. You know, the artists among our audience really appreciate seeing the art, but let's save it for somebody else's turn. I don't want to watch you make it while we're supposed to be playing Magic.
Right. Leave it for when you don't have priority. And I
Yeah.
mean, like, I think, yeah, exactly. Like, if you, even if you do just mark it with, a 13 die, and then on your turn you pull out 12 more cards and quickly just jot on them zombie, 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 zombie. Like,
yeah.
you're just making sure that the game keeps moving. Because even if nobody's bothered by the amount of time that you're taking to write zombie on all those cards, they are recognizing that your turns are taking longer, which probably means that you are the threat. Even if that's not the case, people, it is a thing that people recognize, and then they're like, that guy's doing a lot of stuff. I guess another downfall I have here of dry erase tokens is bad handwriting. Some people just have bad handwriting, but there's nothing that can be done about that other than using pre-made tokens. So this is a topic that I wanted to talk about because I think that it's important to be aware, at least, in the very least, be aware and try even the slightest. Because importance of readability is that somebody can look at your board, know what's happening, and quickly assess what they want to do with it.
Andy, the key part of what you just said is somebody else.
Yes.
The fact that I know what my board state is good. You should know what your board state is, but it should be very evident to all of your opponents. Andy, you admit we've used the zombie example a couple of times, and you had mentioned at one point, like I talked about zombie, and then just times 13, 2, and your response, and this was before the show, and your response.
My response is, yeah. I mean, like, it works for now, and I think that, like, so I have 4 or 5 different, like, levels or different examples of unreadable board states. The first one is marking cards with dice or, times 13 versus a multiple cards in your stack, in a stack. To just mark it with 13, whether it's, writing 13 on it or having a die that says 13, is that, for one, is that 13 +1/+1 counters? Is that 13 multiple? Is that like there's different things that it could mean, especially once you start incorporating actual counters with it. The dice get mixed up. People don't know what is what without having to ask. Having, layered cards, with the corner showing, whatever, however you want to do it, even if they're just next to each other, having a wall of multiple cards in a stack makes it clearer that there are more than one creature here. So like with zombies, with the 13 zombies example, it's easily to be seen 13 zombies, which, might I add, is another thing about that. If you have 13 zombies and you have 13 cards, people are like, wow, that's a really big board state. If you have one card with 13 on it, people are going to see that as, like, less of a board state. Just simple, quick vision of, like, oh, that's not that bad. And then, I mean, I think with having them in a stack as well, just kind of, it just makes it clearer, right? And
as long as you're showing part of each of the card, right? I mean, don't just stack up 13 cards up on top of each other like a nice little neat stack of playing cards. Then you are again misrepresenting the board. If you've got 13 zombies and you're showing half an inch on each card as you fan them along the top of your playmat, it becomes pretty obvious as to
Yeah. Who's
how
the
big
threat?
that stack is. And honestly, in a situation like that, if the top one just says zombie times 13, again, that even speeds it up because now your opponent is not counting through each of those cards.
Right.
Oh, it says 13, it's 13.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think, too, something that you brought up before the show is with that, you can much more easily represent counters because
Yes.
there are so many things that are like, give X number of creatures counters, give a single creature counter. If
Yeah.
you have 13 zombies written on one card, and then you go
Right.
to put a counter on that, well, now you're either going to take more time just making another card, or you are going to misrepresent and have all 13 of these creatures have counters on them.
Right.
I don't know. It's just a pain. Yeah, unless you're already ready for
Mm-hmm.
it, right?
It really does need to be clear. Um, if you are, if you're going to be using dice for +1/+1 counters, then yes, you absolutely have to have a separate a separate card for each of your token creatures.
Right.
And honestly, I would even encourage you use the same kind of dice
Yeah.
on each of them. Um, then it's, you know, when they see a wall of dice over your creatures, no one is stopping to say, oh, does that mean you've got 4 of those? No, it's 4 +1/+1 counters. And it's obvious because you've got so many other creatures on the battlefield. This is
Right.
not 4 of one of them. So,
And like, that's not to say that you can't have them grouped, right? Like, you can have, if you
oh,
have
you
4
should.
zombies that have 4+1/+1 counters on it, have
Yeah.
a stack of 4 cards with a single 4 on it. Like, that's
Yeah.
also doable because it's clear, it's concise, as long as you're
Mhm.
consistent, right? If you have another one, if you have another stack of 4 zombies with a 4 on it, and the 4 means there's 4 of them, it's confusing, to say the least. And I think the issue, I guess, comes in when you start having multiple different kinds of counters. That's the next
Yeah.
kind of problem here is, once you start having different kinds of counters, if you have a zombie or whatever creature,
Hmm.
with +1 counters and a shield counter, maybe
Yeah.
maybe 2 shield counters and a frozen counter. What's it called? Uh, Maybe I should have used a different example. Uh, or level up counters, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's going to be a little different with tokens, but like the idea that you have different types of counters on a thing, you can use a dry erase token to represent all those. You can write down, oh, I
Yeah.
have this many of this many of this many of this,
Hmm.
um, and then continue using a die for +1/+1 counters. Um,
Yeah. Andy, you mentioned just staying organized.
mm,
The real estate on your playmat, it can take you a very long way. Just where you're putting it on your playmat should be obvious. It should make it obvious to others what this thing is. If all of your creatures are at the top and you've just added another token to the top, it means this is a creature. If you put that counter down at the bottom with the rest of the mana,
the token, yeah,
it better be a treasure
right,
or, something along those lines. If I'm grouping my artifacts in one place and I've got a token there, well, again, then I'm assuming that token is going to be an artifact. So, we're playing a casual game of Magic here. This is not pro level where they're expected to figure this out if you are laying it out in a confusing manner. But it's this is casual. Like, make it easy for your opponents to figure this stuff out. Nobody wants somebody to have somebody swing at you and then stop halfway through because they didn't realize, oh, those things down there, I thought they were treasures. It turns out it's 4/2/2 zombies that you can now block with. Like, well, wait a second, I didn't intend for any of this. And now you're trying to figure out if you can back things up or, when in fact, if your board state was just clearer, this would never have been an issue in the first place. So,
right. And then, like, that's not even to say, and not that you were saying
no,
this, That's not even to say that you can't have a complicated board state, because
Yes.
this is Commander after all.
Yeah.
And I think that with that idea of like, this is Commander, you want those silly board states, but you need
Yes.
to navigate it better than your opponents can, but your opponents still need to navigate it. They need to be fed accurate information about what is on the board. And I think that you had mentioned to me, well, today, but also recently, about someone in your play group
Yeah.
who plays creatures that have level up
Yeah.
and +1 counters, and like,
Yeah.
obviously that can be difficult to navigate.
So this is Spencer, and Spencer, it was difficult for the play group to figure out what was going on.
Mhm.
For those who don't know, level up creatures are creatures that have, most of the time they have 3 levels. You pay some amount of mana, and it moves them to that level. And each level, the power and toughness can change, or there's an ability that they gain, and then if they move to the next level, then they get that one as well.
Mm.
So knowing what level a creature's at is important, because you need to know it. Can this be bumped up soon? Do I need to get rid of it? What's the deal? Um, with Spencer's deck, he runs a bunch of these level up creatures, and a lot of them will get plus and +1 counters. So initially, it was confusing to figure out what was level up, what was the +1, and Spencer understood, because he was putting a particular die on the level up, and it's like, well, that's the level up, and this is this, and people just weren't getting it. So he went out and got I think they're the 12-sided dice that show Planeswalker loyalties. So they've got
They
the
got the little
loyalty
crest
symbol.
on them. Yeah.
Yeah, the little crest with the number in the middle. It's just like you see on every Planeswalker. So he uses those for the loyalty counters. So he puts them right over the loyalty, makes it clear that this is loyalty. And then he's got the tiny dice, the one, the chess X that come in a cube, and those are the +1/+1 counters. So those are across any creatures that he has, but these Planeswalker dice are only used for the level up. That has made a world of difference for everybody in the play group. As soon as anybody asks him a question about the board state, it is, those are level up counters, these are this. And it is plain as day. It just makes things so much easier to manage, which works out for Spencer, because honestly, the level up deck is just not very good. And folks need to know that it's not nearly the threat they think it is.
Yeah.
So.
And I think with that as well, I think what all of this kind of represents to me is this idea that representing the board accurately and legibly is important. Obviously, we've been talking about it for the past half hour.
Right.
But like, I think one of my biggest pet peeves in Magic is when somebody just represents, especially a creature token, with a die and just a die.
Yeah.
So often I've looked across the table and seen just like a die with the pip of like 2 on it to represent a 2/2, and I don't realize that it's a creature. Is it tapped? What kind of creature? How many are there? I mean, sure, there's probably just one, but like, what if it's representing 2 1/1s? I don't know. It's just like it's like a thing where it's just like, it makes me want to just go, can you at least try? Can you try to like make this easier to understand? It feels like you're being intentionally obtuse to just kind of get us, right? Like, it's like you're not playing the game to play the game.
Andy.
You're playing the game to like be that,
Right. I mean, you talked about the die turning it sideways.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're using a die with pips, that means nothing.
Right.
It's 0. Oh, congratulations, it's tapped. 3 seconds later, do you know if it's tapped? How are you going to know? It's the same thing.
And I think too, especially if like you're already playing a deck that is involving a combination of tokens and counters, or even just tokens, and you're using dice to represent the amount of tokens.
Right.
Then who's to say that that die isn't just left there from like, it just like wasn't put away, or it accidentally rolled there or whatever. Like, it's so hard to tell. And I think the biggest thing for me is attacking into this board that has a 2/2 that I don't realize is a 2/2, And then it's like, well, now I look like a fool. But
Right.
also, like, you're trying to account for 3 other players and trying to figure out the best way to attack. So you're quickly glancing at everybody's board and you see card-shaped, card-sized creatures.
Yeah.
And you are like, okay, that person has 3 creatures. This person has 2 creatures. The other person has, 4 creatures. And you're like, you go to attack and the person across from you is like, actually, I have 4 creatures. And they like point at their dice. And it's like, okay, well, it like the visual stimulus of just like being able to see your creatures at a glance is like super important. And I think with that too, like, it's not even like a call for us, call from us to say like, you need to make everything as legible as possible. But it's like, it's just an example of how many things people are paying attention to on a board that is just creating mental load for everyone. And to simplify it further is helpful, right?
Make your life easier. Keep your board state organized. Track all this stuff. This way, you're not going to blow your mental load in the middle of a game.
Whoa. But yeah, but the biggest one, maybe, I don't know, is get your tokens ready. Like, if you're using dry erase especially, get your tokens ready before you do the play, if you can. Obviously, you want to err on the side of like, oh, I do need to have some sort of like unpredictability. Like, I don't want to like fully show my hand before I play this big spell. But get the tokens ready, draw them out if you need to, like if you've got like a box of them, file through them to find the correct token. So you're not holding up the game, finding the token or drawing them. You've got time, don't worry. But also like, respect other people's time. We play a casual format for a reason. Don't get hung up on this. Don't be jerks to each other because somebody's taking too long making their sapperling or whatever. But also, like, be aware of everyone's time, including your own. Make your board as clear, accurate, and simplified as possible. But also, like, don't be afraid to like show how big your board state is. Because that is important.
That's part of being clear and accurate.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like a thing that I've been thinking about for a while. That I keep coming across players who just they're not intentionally being obtuse. They're not intentionally trying to screw people over, I would hope. But like, it does just make the game a little more frustrating when you realize you got because they didn't take the time to like do their due diligence, because they thought they were representing it well enough. But you know what? You're not.
Well, hey, this is a topic that not everybody thinks about, or at least doesn't think about until it's already too late. So this is your chance, folks. You get a chance. You've thought about it. Now, take the actions necessary. Keep your board state as clear as possible.
Yeah, I think that's like another part of like, it's a topic of conversation frequently of like, what do you do on your opponent's turns? What do you do to prepare your next play, right? Whether it's on somebody else's turn or whatever. And I think part of that is representing your tokens fairly. Or, just doodle a little cute guy on it and you're headed in the right direction. But anyway, that's going to do it for this first episode of the season. I'm very excited for you all to join us. If you're watching on YouTube, press that subscribe button. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting platform, press the follow button. Otherwise, leave a fun little comment down below of what your favorite token creature is. Mine is a Pentavite. Which does not have a card. Yet.
don't think it has a card. I have a buddy of mine who actually got me a set of token creatures for Christmas one year. And it was specifically tokens that hadn't been created yet.
So, I wonder how many of them have been
very corner
since
case.
Then.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you again for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We're Temple of False Bud. We're Dex and Optimized Better Plays. Sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
Thank you again. Play some Magic for me. Make some cool tokens. Do some crazy stuff. And may your 5th land be the Temple.
Bye!
Wait. Before you go, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. You can reach out to us via email at falsepodmtg@gmail.com or in Blue Sky at falsepodmtg. Bruce is at Manaburned, and I'm at Andy Weekend, though you'll definitely notice I use the podcast Twitter far more often. Now that we've got you here, make sure you subscribe, like, rate us on whatever podcast platform you use. It helps us out. It gets us more reach. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Like a video there. Leave some comments for more casual enjoyment. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with some more timeless discussions about all things casual. So come hang out, and may your 5th land be the Temple. Bye-bye. Should I do my best, Bruce? Bye!